There is a specific kind of exhaustion that does not come from the body. It arrives after you walk into a room and instantly feel the weight of every unspoken word hanging in the air. It happens when you know someone is hiding something before they even open their mouth. Most people spend their entire lives trying to develop a skill that you have been carrying since birth like a second heartbeat. But because no one ever gave it a name, because society tells you that what cannot be measured does not exist, you have probably spent years thinking this awareness is a burden rather than the rarest gift a human being can possess. Today, we are going to redefine what you think you know about yourself. We live in a culture that worships the five senses. If you can touch it, see it, hear it, taste it, or smell it, we consider it real. But there is a layer of existence that operates just beneath the surface of the physical world, a dimension where time does not move in a straight line, and where information travels faster than light. For most people, this realm is inaccessible. They walk through life blind to the currents beneath the water. But for a select few, the veil between worlds is thin. These individuals do not just live in the physical world. They perceive the scaffolding that holds it all together. They are the ones who see. If you have ever felt like you are playing a game that everyone else is playing with half the pieces missing, pay close attention to what follows. We are going to explore the specific indicators that suggest you may be one of these individuals. More importantly, we are going to discuss what it truly means to carry this capacity and how to stop feeling like a stranger in your own life. Part 1. The unfiltered receiver. The first and most undeniable marker of this capacity is a nervous system that operates without a filter. While others walk through the world with their senses dulled by distraction and routine, you are picking up everything. This is not just being observant. This is a physiological experience where the boundaries between yourself and your environment become porous. Think back to your earliest memories. Many who possess this trait recall childhoods marked by an almost painful awareness of atmosphere. You could walk into a home and immediately sense whether the people living there were happy or miserable. Even if they were smiling, you might have felt overwhelmed in grocery stores or shopping malls, not because of the noise in your ears, but because of the noise hitting your spirit. The emotions of others would stick to you like smoke, and you would carry those feelings home without understanding why you suddenly felt sad or anxious for no apparent reason. This is the result of what we might call energetic sensitivity. The body is not just a biological machine, it is also a receiving station. Most people have built-in dampeners that block out the majority of signals that are not immediately relevant to survival. But for you, the dampeners may have never fully developed. You are picking up frequencies that others cannot detect. This includes the emotional states of people near you, the residual energy left behind in physical spaces, and the subtle shifts in the collective mood of a group. This sensitivity often manifests physically. You might feel a sudden chill when entering a room where an argument recently occurred. You might feel a warmth or pressure in your hands when you are near someone who is healing. You might experience a tingling sensation at the back of your neck when danger is approaching, even if your eyes cannot yet see the threat. These are not random neurological firings. These are signals. The challenge with this level of sensitivity is that without understanding it, you become a sponge for the world's pain. You absorb the stress of your coworkers, the hidden grief of your friends, and the unspoken tension in your family home. You wake up exhausted because you spent the night processing emotions that were never yours to begin with. This is the shadow side of the gift. But once you recognize what is happening, you can begin to build the boundaries that protect your inner sanctuary without shutting down your perception. Ask yourself this: do you often know how someone is feeling before they tell you? Do you find yourself avoiding certain places because they feel heavy or dark, even if you cannot explain why? Do you need significant amounts of alone time to recover from social interactions that others found perfectly normal? If the answer is yes, You are not broken. You are operating on a different frequency. Part 2. The inner cinema. The second major indicator involves the way your mind processes information. For most people, thinking is an internal monologue, a stream of words that narrates their experience. But for you, thinking may be a visual experience. You do not just think about concepts, you see them. Your mind operates like a cinema, projecting images, symbols, and scenes that carry meaning far deeper than words can convey. This is often most apparent in moments of reflection or meditation. When you close your eyes, you do not see darkness. You see patterns, colors, shapes, and sometimes fully formed scenes that feel more real than a daydream. These images are not random. They are the language of the deeper mind, a form of communication that bypasses the logical filters of the left brain and speaks directly to the soul. Those with this capacity often find that they receive answers to complex problems, not through analysis, but through sudden visual flashes. You might be wrestling with a decision, and then an image appears in your mind that clarifies everything. You might see a closed door, and you know it means rejection. You might see a bridge, and you know it means connection. This is symbolic sight, the ability to perceive the essence of a situation through the language of imagery. This visual acuity extends beyond the internal world. You may find yourself noticing symbols and signs in your external environment that others walk past without a second glance. A feather in an unusual place. A sequence of numbers that appears repeatedly. A song playing at the exact moment you were thinking of its lyrics. These are not coincidences in the conventional sense. They are the universe speaking to you in a language you are uniquely equipped to understand. But there is a deeper layer to this. Some with this capacity experience what can only be described as inner vision during the waking state. You might be speaking with someone, and an image will appear over their face, showing you a younger version of them, or a version of them carrying a wound they have never spoken about. You might look at a building and see a glimpse of what happened there decades ago. This is not imagination. This is time becoming transparent. The question you must ask yourself is this: do you often find that images come to you carrying emotional weight that you cannot explain? Do you remember your dreams not as vague narratives, but as vivid experiences that feel more significant than the day that followed? Do you have a habit of doodling symbols that you do not consciously understand? If so, you are accessing a layer of perception that most have forgotten exists. Part 3. The distortion in time. There is perhaps no experience more unsettling than the sensation that time is not what it seems. For those with this capacity, the linear progression of past, present, and future becomes questionable. You experience moments that feel like they have already happened, not in a vague way, but with a specific intensity that stops you in your tracks. This is often called déjà vu, but the conventional explanation falls short. Scientists may attribute it to a memory glitch, a split-second delay in neural processing. But for you, the experience carries a different quality. When it happens, it feels like confirmation. It feels like you are exactly where you are supposed to be, doing exactly what you are supposed to be doing, and that you have known this moment would arrive long before it did. There are also more pronounced experiences. You may have moments where you sense what is about to happen seconds before it occurs. The phone rings, and you already know who is calling. You walk toward a traffic light, and you know it will turn red before it changes. You think of someone, and they contact you within minutes. These are not parlor tricks. These are glimpses of the non-linear nature of consciousness. Some who carry this capacity report experiences that go even further. They may dream of a place they have never visited, only to find themselves standing in that exact location months or years later. They may meet someone for the first time and feel an overwhelming sense of familiarity, as if they are continuing a conversation that began long ago. These time slips, as they are sometimes called, challenge the very foundation of how we define reality. Consider this. If time is not a river flowing in one direction, but an ocean where all moments exist simultaneously, then what we call precognition is simply the ability to dip our awareness into a different part of that ocean. The future is not being predicted, it is being perceived. And if you have experienced these slips, if you have felt the hair on your arms rise because the present moment suddenly echoed with the memory of a future you had not yet lived, you are touching something profound. The danger is dismissing these experiences as imagination or anxiety. The gift is learning to pay attention to them, to treat them as data. When you feel that strange familiarity, stop and ask what it is trying to tell you. Often, these moments are signposts, guiding you toward alignment or warning you away from danger. Part 4. The Night School. Sleep is not merely a biological necessity. For the one who sees, sleep is a classroom. While the body rests, the awareness travels. Dreams for most people are disjointed replays of the day's events, mental clutter processed and discarded. But for you, dreams are often more vivid, more coherent, and more informative than waking life. This is where the distinction must be made. There are ordinary dreams, and then there are visitations. You likely know the difference. An ordinary dream fades upon waking, dissolving like mist in morning light. But a visitation, a prophetic dream, or a teaching dream stays with you. It feels more real than reality. The colors are brighter, the emotions are deeper, and the symbols linger in your mind for days, demanding interpretation. Those with this capacity often find that their dreams provide solutions to problems they could not solve while awake. They wake up with complete clarity about a relationship, a career decision, or a creative project. This is because the analytical mind, with its endless doubts and second-guessing, steps aside during sleep, allowing the deeper intelligence to communicate freely. There is also the phenomenon of the lucid dream, where you become conscious within the dream and realize you are dreaming. For many, this is a rare and fleeting experience. But for you, it may be a frequent occurrence, and it may come with the ability to direct the dream, to explore, to ask questions, and to receive answers directly from figures that appear within the dream space. Some who carry this capacity also report experiences of leaving the body during sleep, often called astral projection. You may find yourself floating above your sleeping form, or traveling to locations far from your bedroom, or encountering beings that exist in realms beyond the physical. These experiences are terrifying to those who do not understand them, but to the one who sees, they are confirmation that consciousness is not confined to the skull. If you have ever woken from a dream and known something you did not know when you fell asleep, if you have ever seen a loved one in a dream who appeared to bring you a message, if you have ever had a dream that came true in the days or weeks that followed, you are not just dreaming. You are learning. The night is your university. Part 5. The Empathic Bridge. To see is not only to perceive images or future events. To see is also to feel. One of the most defining characteristics of this capacity is a depth of empathy that goes far beyond sympathy or compassion. This is empathy as a sensory organ. You do not just understand what someone else is feeling, you feel it in your own body as if it were your own. This can be both the greatest strength and the heaviest burden of this path. When you are with someone who is joyful, you soar. Their happiness fills you with light. But when you are with someone who is suffering, you suffer with them. Their pain becomes your pain. Their grief settles in your chest. Their fear tightens your throat. This empathic connection is not limited to people in your immediate presence. You may find yourself affected by the emotional states of people you have never met, picking up on collective grief or collective anxiety through media, or through simply being in a populated area. During times of global stress, you may feel inexplicably heavy, anxious, or sad, and only later realize that you were absorbing the emotional weather of the world around you. There is also a psychic dimension to this empathy. You may know things about people that you have no logical way of knowing. You may meet someone for the first time and instantly sense their wound, their secret, their hidden pain. You may hear a name and receive an impression of the person attached to it, an impression that later proves accurate. This is often called clairsentience, or clear feeling. It is the ability to know through sensation. But here is the crucial piece of understanding that most empathic individuals miss. Feeling what others feel does not mean you must carry what others carry. The mistake is in believing that your empathy requires you to absorb the pain of the world in order to heal it. True mastery of this gift comes when you learn to feel without absorbing, to witness without drowning, to hold space for another's suffering without making it your own. Ask yourself, do you often feel exhausted after being around specific people? Do you find that crowds drain your energy rapidly? Do you sometimes know things about strangers that you cannot explain? This is not paranoia. This is perception. Part 6. The blending of senses. There is a rare condition known as synesthesia, where the senses blend together. Some people see colors when they hear music. Some taste flavors when they hear words. For most, this is a neurological curiosity. But for the one who sees, this blending of senses is often a doorway to deeper perception. You may experience sound as physical sensation. A piece of music may send waves through your body that are not metaphorical but literal. You may feel the emotional weight of a room as a pressure on your skin. You may see colors around people, not with your physical eyes, but with an inner sense that is just as clear. These auras, as they are often called, are not imagination. They are the perception of the electromagnetic field that surrounds all living things. This multidimensional perception allows you to gather information that is not available through the standard 5 senses. You may look at a plant and sense whether it is healthy or struggling. You may touch an object and receive impressions of its history. You may walk into a home and feel the emotional residue of everyone who has ever lived there, layered like sediment in the walls. Some with this capacity perceive beings or presences that others cannot see. This is perhaps the most misunderstood aspect of this path. In a culture that dismisses anything invisible as fantasy, those who glimpse the other inhabitants of this universe often learn to keep quiet about it. But if you have ever felt a presence in an empty room, if you have ever caught a flicker of movement from the corner of your eye that vanished when you turned to look, if you have ever felt watched when you were alone, you are not imagining things. You are perceiving a layer of reality that usually remains hidden. This does not mean that every shadow is a spirit, or that every flicker is a ghost. Discernment is essential, but it does mean that your perceptual apparatus is calibrated to a wider spectrum. The task is not to fear what you perceive, but to learn to interpret it with wisdom and grounding. Part 7. The knowledge that arrives uninvited. Perhaps the most disorienting aspect of this capacity is the experience of knowing things you have no business knowing. This is not knowledge gained through study or experience. It arrives fully formed, like a download, settling into your awareness with a certainty that defies logic. You may be in a conversation and suddenly know the next thing the other person will say before they say it. You may be considering a decision and know with absolute clarity which choice will lead to disaster and which will lead to growth. You may meet someone and know that they cannot be trusted, even though they have given you no logical reason to doubt them. This is often called claircognizance, or clear knowing. It is the ability to access information directly from the field of consciousness, bypassing the slow process of reasoning and deduction. For those who experience this, it can be deeply unsettling, because it cannot be explained to others. When someone asks how you know something, the only honest answer is, I just know. And that answer is rarely accepted in a world that demands evidence and proof. The challenge with this kind of knowing is learning to trust it, because it does not arrive with a receipt, because you cannot trace it back to its source. The logical mind will try to override it. You will be presented with a situation where your intuition screams one direction, but all available evidence points another. In those moments, the pressure to conform to logic can be intense. But those who have walked this path for a long time will tell you that the intuitive hit, the unexplained knowing, is rarely wrong. There is also a prophetic dimension to this knowing. You may have a sense that something will happen, and it does. You may have a feeling about a person, and it proves accurate. This is not about predicting the lottery or forecasting world events. It is about having access to the trajectory of your own life and the lives of those close to you. If you have ever found yourself saying, "I had a feeling this would happen," if you have ever avoided a situation because it felt wrong, only to later learn you were right to avoid it, if you have ever known the truth of a situation before the evidence emerged, you are operating from a place of deep knowing. Honor it. Part 8. The weight of the gift. To this point, we have explored the signs, the abilities, the perceptions that set you apart. But there is a conversation that rarely happens in discussions of this nature. It is the conversation about the weight of carrying this capacity. Because while seeing is a gift, it is not a gift that comes without cost. Those who perceive more also suffer more, not because they are weak, but because they are aware. You see the pain that others hide. You feel the grief that others numb. You sense the coming storms while others are still enjoying the sunshine. This can lead to a profound sense of isolation, a feeling that you are carrying knowledge that others cannot handle. There is also the weight of responsibility. When you see clearly, you cannot unsee. When you know the truth, you cannot pretend. This forces you into decisions that others do not have to face. Do you speak the truth that you perceive, knowing it may cause conflict or pain? Or do you remain silent, betraying your own knowing in order to keep the peace? These are not easy questions, and there are no universal answers. Many who carry this capacity go through periods of wishing they could turn it off. They envy those who seem to glide through life unaware, untouched by the undercurrents. They seek escape through distraction, through numbing, through pretending to be like everyone else. But this path never works for long. The gift, once awakened, demands to be acknowledged. Suppressing it does not make it disappear. It simply turns the gift into a source of suffering. The journey of the one who sees is ultimately a journey of integration. It is about learning to hold the weight of what you perceive without being crushed by it. It is about building the inner container strong enough to hold the knowing without letting it spill over into anxiety or despair. It is about finding the balance between being in the world and seeing beyond it. This requires practices that ground you. It requires time in nature, where the energies are clean and the frequencies are stable. It requires solitude, not as escape but as a space to process what you have absorbed. It requires boundaries, the ability to say no to the demands of others on your energy. And it requires community, or at least connection with others who understand, because carrying this alone is the heaviest burden of all. Part 9. The purpose of perception. So why? Why are some given this capacity while others are not? Why do you carry this awareness that so often feels like a curse dressed as a gift? There are many answers to this question, but they all circle back to one central truth. You are not given this sight for your own benefit alone. You are given it because you are meant to use it. You are meant to be a guide, a witness, a source of clarity in a world that has lost its way. The one who sees serves a function in the collective. You are the one who notices when something is off. You are the one who speaks the truth that others are avoiding. You are the one who holds space for healing, because you can perceive where the wounds are hiding. You are the antenna, picking up signals that the rest of the tribe needs to survive. This does not mean you must become a professional psychic or a spiritual teacher. It means that in your daily life, in your relationships, in your work, you bring a depth of perception that others lack. You see the potential in people that they cannot see in themselves. You sense the opportunities that others walk past. You feel the dangers that others ignore. And by living in alignment with this perception, you subtly guide the world around you toward greater balance. The modern world has tried to medicate this capacity out of existence. It has labeled sensitivity as weakness, intuition as irrational, and perception as delusion. But the old ways, the traditions that understood the depth of human potential, honored the seer. The seer was the one consulted before battles, before marriages, before planting seasons. The seer was the one who sat at the edge of the village, watching the horizon, sensing what approached. You are that seer now. You live at the edge of a culture that has forgotten how to see. Your role is not to shout from the rooftops, but to perceive clearly, to live authentically, and to offer your knowing when it is needed. The world needs you to stop apologizing for what you perceive and start trusting it. Part 10, the path of integration. The final question is how? How do you live with this? How do you carry the weight without collapsing under it? How do you use the gift without being consumed by it? The answer lies in integration, not rejection. You do not need to become more spiritual or less spiritual. You do not need to join a monastery or retreat from the world. You need to become fully yourself, grounded in the body, present in the moment, and open to the perception that flows through you. Integration begins with acknowledgement. Stop pretending you do not know what you know. Stop explaining away your perceptions as coincidence or imagination. Start keeping a record. Write down your dreams. Write down your intuitive hits. Write down the synchronicities you notice. Over time, patterns will emerge. You will see that your perception is not random. It is reliable. Integration requires discernment. Not every thought that enters your mind is a message. Not every feeling that passes through your body belongs to someone else. You must learn to distinguish between your own noise and the signal from the field. This comes with practice, with patience, and with the willingness to be wrong sometimes. Discernment is not about perfection. It is about calibration. Integration demands embodiment. The one who sees must also be the one who walks, who eats, who sleeps, who loves. You cannot live only in the realms of spirit. You must be fully present in the physical world. The body is your anchor. It keeps you from floating away into the ether. Care for it. Move it. Feed it well. Listen to its wisdom, because the body knows things the mind cannot grasp. Integration requires humility. You do not see everything. You do not know everything. Your perceptions are filtered through your own limitations, your own wounds, your own biases. Stay humble. Stay open to being wrong. Stay willing to learn. The moment you believe you have all the answers is the moment your sight begins to dim. And finally, integration requires surrender. You did not choose this capacity. It was given to you. You cannot control it completely. You cannot turn it on and off like a switch. You can only learn to ride it like a wave, to flow with it like a river. Surrender to the mystery. Stop trying to figure it all out. Some things are not meant to be understood. They are meant to be experienced. The path of the one who sees is not an easy path. It is a path of solitude at times, of misunderstanding, of carrying what others cannot. But it is also a path of profound beauty. You see the light that others miss. You feel the love that hides beneath the surface. You perceive the magic that weaves through the ordinary. And in the end, that makes the weight worth carrying. You are not broken. You are not too sensitive. You are not imagining things. You are seeing. And in a world that has gone blind, seeing is the rarest and most needed gift of all.